It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, my 18th birthday. The cake was still on the table, the candles melting into the frosting, their tiny flames flickering like fragile hopes. My friends were laughing, music played softly in the background, and for one fleeting second, everything felt normal. My mama Lara was smiling, that tired but genuine smile she saved for moments when she wanted me to believe that everything was okay. And for the first time in a long time, I actually believed her. For a heartbeat, I let myself think, maybe, just maybe, my stepdad, Conrad, would finally show me some kind of kindness. Maybe he'd raise a glass, pat my shoulder, say he was proud of me for once. But then, he stood up. The sound of his chair scraping against the floor sliced through the laughter like a blade. The room went dead silent. The kind of silence that doesn't just fill the air, it chokes it. He cleared his throat, his eyes sharp and cold, the way they always were when he wanted to remind me that I didn't belong. And then he said it. "You're not my real son." The words hit like shattered glass, each syllable cutting into the moment, into me. "And you're out of this house." At first I thought he was joking. I waited for the laughter to follow, for someone and to break the tension. But no one did. Instead, Conrad bent down, grabbed a plastic grocery bag stuffed with clothes, and tossed it at my feet. It hit the floor with a dull thud. That sound, it's one I'll never forget. Because it wasn't just the sound of a bag hitting the floor, it was the sound of my life, collapsing. The bag sagged with the weight of everything I owned. My shirts, my jeans, a few worn-out sneakers. That was it. That was me. I looked at my mom. She didn't move. Her hands were pressed against her mouth, her eyes wide, but she didn't say anything. And that silence, her silence, hurt worse than anything Conrad could have said. I felt my chest tighten. Heat flooded my face. My friends stared, frozen, whispering to each other, unsure what to do. The room that had been full of laughter seconds ago now felt like a prison of shame. All I wanted in that moment was for the ground to open and swallow me whole. I picked up the bag, my hands trembled as I clutched it to my side, and without saying a single word, I turned and walked out the front door. The rain hit me immediately, cold, relentless, soaking through my clothes in seconds. Each step felt heavier than the last, like the entire weight of the world was pressing down on my shoulders. I didn't know where I was going, didn't care. I just walked. Through the blur of tears and the pounding rain, all I could think was, he really did it. He threw me out. On my birthday. My mother's silence echoed louder than the thunder above me. Then, through the roar of the storm, I heard something. A low hum. The sound of an engine. Headlights cut through the darkness, blinding for a moment. A sleek black car slowed to a stop beside me. The tinted window rolled down with a mechanical whisper, and then I heard a voice. Calm, steady, almost too calm for a night like this. "Are you Adrian?" My heart pounded. I tightened my grip on the bag, hesitating. "Yeah," I finally said. The man nodded once, and then his next words froze the air around me. "Your real father sent me. My name is Adrian, and for as long as I can remember, I've never truly felt like I belonged. Not in my home, not in my own life. Growing up, I used to watch other kids play catch with their dads. I'd hear stories about fathers teaching their sons to drive, to shave, to become men, and every time I wondered, what would that feel like? But in my world, those moments didn't exist. My stepdad, Conrad, he wasn't cruel every single day. No, that would have been too easy to explain. He was worse than cruel. He was indifferent, cold, unyielding, always carrying this quiet resentment in his eyes, like my existence was a mistake he couldn't undo. I was 10 when he married my mom. She told me he'd bring us stability, a new start, a family. Conrad was the kind of man who filled a room without saying a word. Broad shoulders, square jaw, the type who made people lower their voices when he walked in. At first, I tried to win him over. I'd draw pictures at school, run home, and hold them up proudly. "Look, Conrad, I made this." He'd barely glance at them. If he did speak, it was only to correct me. "Stand up straight. Don't slouch. Don't waste time." His words were never loud, but they cut. They chipped away at me, piece by piece, until I started to believe him. My mother, she loved me, I know she did. But she was tired, always tired. Working long hours at a small clinic, she came home drained, but still tried to smile. She wanted peace more than anything. And that meant keeping Conrad calm, whatever it took. "Just let it go, Adrian," she'd whisper. "Don't push him, please." So I learned early on, keeping quiet was safer than speaking up. Years passed. The house never felt like mine. Every rule came from Conrad. Every meal, every decision, every breath we took seemed to depend on his mood. If I left a dish in the sink, he reminded me it wasn't his job to clean up after someone else's kid. If I asked for help with homework, he'd scoff, "Figure it out yourself." He didn't have to hit me. His silence and disapproval did the job. Still, I kept hoping that one day he'd see me differently. Turning 18 was supposed to change everything. In my head, I'd built this fantasy that maybe when I became an adult, he'd finally respect me, that he'd look at me and see something worth keeping. I was wrong. The morning of my birthday started like a dream. The house smelled like frosting and vanilla candles. My friends were coming over. Even my mom looked happy. She had gone out of her way to make the day special. Balloons hung in the corner, slightly deflated but still cheerful. She smiled as she placed the cake on the table. "Happy birthday, sweetheart." And for a moment, I forgot all about Conrad. He sat in his usual spot at the head of the table. Arms crossed, face unreadable. I told myself maybe he was just tired. Maybe tonight he'd finally say the words I'd been waiting 18 years to hear. "I'm proud of you." But instead, what I got was the opposite. As the candles flickered, my friends began to sing. I closed my eyes and made a wish, a simple one, to belong. When I opened them again, Conrad was staring at me. His gaze was like ice. My mom clapped her hands, forcing a smile. "Come on, open your gift." But Conrad's chair scraped back, loud, final. He stood slowly by, his shadow stretching across the table. 18 years, he said, his voice low. 18 years of pretending. The room froze. My friends looked at each other, confused, unsure if they were witnessing a joke or something worse. He took a step closer, his expression hard. "I think it's time we stop the act." I stared at him, heart pounding. "What are you talking about?" He didn't blink, didn't hesitate. "You're not my real son," he said. "You never were. And as of today, you're out of this house." The words didn't just hit, they shattered. My friends gasped. Someone shifted their chair, the sound scraping through the silence. Malik, my best friend, looked like he was about to stand up, but I shook my head. This was my fight. I turned to my mom, desperate. "Mom, say something." She opened her mouth, then stopped. Her eyes filled with tears. Her hands trembled. Conrad, please," she whispered. "Not like this, not here." But he didn't stop. "This is the perfect time," he said coldly. "He's 18 now. He's no responsibility of mine." I felt heat flood my chest. "You can't just throw me out," I said, my voice breaking. Conrad sneered. "I can. And I am. You've lived off me long enough. I've fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. But you're nothing to me. You're not my blood, and you never will be." Gasps rippled across the room. My mom flinched. Then Conrad bent down and grabbed that bag, already packed. He tossed it at me, the handle stretching, the plastic crinkling as it hit the floor. "There," he said flatly. "That's all you need. Take it, and go." The rain outside beat against the windows, a cruel soundtrack to the moment my world fell apart. Everyone was staring. My friends, my mother, even Malik looked like he couldn't breathe. I bent down, picked up the bag, and felt the weight of it pull at my arm. That was my life. Everything I had, reduced to a single grocery bag. I turned one last time toward my mom. "Mom," I whispered, but all she could say was my name. "Adrian?" It sounded broken. I swallowed hard, nodded once, and walked to the door. No one stopped me. The rain was cold, merciless, washing away the last bit of warmth I had left. And as I walked down that dark street, soaked and shaking, I told myself I'd never look back. But life had other plans, because that's when I heard the hum of that car engine. That's when I saw those headlights cutting through the storm. And that voice, the man in the car, calm, certain, as if he had been waiting for this moment. "Are you Adrian?" My throat was tight, but I nodded. He leaned forward just enough for me to catch a glimpse of his face, shadowed, unreadable. "Your real father sent me." The rain seemed to stop for a moment, or maybe it just felt that way, because everything I thought I knew, everything I believed about my life, my family, my father, was about to change forever. And as the car door opened, as the glow from inside spilled into the dark street, I realized something deep in my gut. This wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning. Imagine finding out on the night you lose everything, that the man you've spent your whole life wondering about never stopped looking for you, that every moment you thought you were unwanted was built on a lie, It happened to me. And it began with 6 words that shattered everything I thought I knew. Your real father sent me. The moment Callan said it, the world stopped. The rain, the thunder, even the pain in my chest, all of it blurred into silence. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear anything else. Those words didn't just echo, they hit. My real father. For years I'd asked who he was. For years I'd watched my mother look away, her silence cutting deeper than any truth ever could. And now, on the night I'd been thrown out of my home, on the night that was supposed to be my birthday, I was hearing that he had never left me, that he had been waiting for this exact moment. I stared at Callan through the rain, the headlights reflecting off his sharp, unreadable face. His voice stayed calm, but there was something behind it. Urgency, maybe fear. He really wanted me? I whispered. Callan nodded slowly. He did, Adrian, and he still does. He asked me to bring you to him tonight. My pulse quickened. Tonight? Why not tomorrow? Why not after the storm? Why this exact night? Why now? I asked, my voice trembling. Why send you tonight? Callan's eyes flicked to mine in the mirror. Because Conrad made his move. Your father knew it was coming. He knew you'd need him the moment Conrad pushed you out. He's been waiting for this day. I sank back in the seat as the car rolled forward. The city lights faded behind us, swallowed by the darkness. The storm softened, the rain turning into a mist that whispered against the windows. Every mile we drove pulled me farther from the life I'd known and closer to a truth I wasn't ready for. The road stretched ahead like a tunnel into another world. I could see the faint reflection of my face in the window, wet hair plastered to my forehead, eyes hollow from tears, hands clutching a bag of clothes like it was my last lifeline. And maybe it was. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. I didn't know anymore. The silence inside the car was heavy, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind of silence that holds secrets. The kind that feels like the air before lightning strikes. Finally, Callan slowed the car. We turned into a long driveway lined with tall trees swaying in the wind. At the end of it stood a house, large, warm, alive, with lights glowing softly through the rain. My heart raced faster than the engine. Callan parked and turned to me. His expression softened. He's inside. For a moment, I couldn't move. My fingers tightened around the photograph I'd been holding ever since he gave it to me. A younger man holding a baby, me, wrapped in a blanket. His eyes were bright, proud, full of a love I'd never known. I stepped out of the car. The air was cool, damp, and strangely calm now that the storm had passed. Each step toward the house felt like crossing a line I could never return from. Before I even reached the porch, the door opened. And there he was, the man from the photograph. Older now, his hair streaked with gray, but the resemblance was undeniable. The same eyes. My eyes. He froze, his breath caught, and then he said my name so softly it almost broke me. Adrian? I stopped in my tracks. Every emotion I'd buried for 18 years surged to the surface. Anger, fear, hope, disbelief. My throat tightened. You're real, I whispered. He stepped forward, his voice trembling. I am, and I've been waiting for you every single day of your life. That was it. The dam broke. The bag slipped from my hand and hit the ground with a dull thud. I stumbled forward, and before I could stop myself, I was in his arms. He caught me, firm, steady, grounding. For years, I had dreamed of what it would feel like to be held like this, without hesitation, without judgment, without fear. And now that it was real, I couldn't hold back. I buried my face in his shoulder and cried harder than I ever had before. He didn't let go. Not once. You were never unwanted, he whispered into my hair. You were stolen from me, but you are mine, Adrian. You always have been. In that moment, everything Conrad had said, every cruel word that had carved its way into my heart, dissolved. All the walls I had built around myself, gone. For the first time in my life, I knew what belonging felt like. Inside, the house smelled like wood smoke and fresh bread. Warm, lived in, real. I sat down at the kitchen table, still clutching the photograph and letter like they were the most precious things I owned. Kieran, my father, sat across from me, his eyes never leaving mine. I tried to come for you, he said quietly. I fought for you. But Conrad twisted everything. He told your mother lies about me, filed papers to keep me away. By the time I could fight back, he'd already won. His voice cracked. The pain in it was real, raw. I swallowed hard. She never told me the truth, I whispered. He looked down, his eyes shadowed. Your mother loved you, Adrian, but she was trapped in his shadow, afraid of what he would do if she fought back. She made choices I'll never agree with, but don't ever doubt she loved you." His words softened something inside me, but they didn't erase the hurt. "So all those years," I said, my voice breaking, "all those nights I thought I was unwanted when he reminded me I didn't belong." I clenched my fists. "You were still out there, wanting me." Kieran reached across the table and gripped my hand. His eyes glistened. "Every single day," he said firmly, "from the moment you were born, you were my son, and you still are. Nothing Conrad did will ever change that." My heart cracked open. The weight I had carried for so long, the shame, the guilt, the loneliness, finally began to lift. I had spent years believing I was a mistake, a burden, someone too broken to love. But sitting there, across from the man who had never stopped searching for me, I realized something. I was never the problem. I was the prize. The next few days blurred together in a haze of tears, laughter, and rediscovery. Kieran showed me old photos, pictures of him holding me as a baby, of letters he had written but never been able to send, of legal documents proving the battles he had fought to see me again. Each piece of paper, each story, was another stitch mending the torn fabric of my life. And with every passing hour, I felt more like myself than I ever had before. The bitterness began to fade. I thought of Conrad often, of the way he looked at me that night, hatred in his eyes, the cold satisfaction as he threw me out, and now I understood something he never did. By casting me out, he hadn't destroyed me. He had freed me. His cruelty had led me here, to truth, to love, to home. But the ache for my mother lingered. Her silence still haunted me. I knew she had loved me in her own way, but she hadn't fought, not when it mattered most. And that was a wound that would take time to heal. One evening, as the fire flickered between us, Kieran leaned back in his chair and said softly, "I can't give you back the years we lost, but I can give you every year from this day forward." The flames reflected in his eyes, and for the first time, I saw peace there. I nodded slowly, my throat tight. "That's all I want," I said. "A chance to know you, a chance to belong." And I meant it. The storm that had begun with Conrad's cruel words had led me here, to the truth I had been searching for all my life. I had lost a house, but I had gained a home. I had lost the man who claimed to be my father, but I had found the one who truly was. And somewhere deep inside, I could feel something else stirring, a sense of purpose, a spark of strength I didn't know I had. Because now, I wasn't just the boy who had been thrown out, I was the son who had been found. But what I didn't know, what neither of us knew that night, was that the past wasn't done with us yet. Conrad's hold went deeper than either of us realized. There were secrets buried in the years between my disappearance and now, secrets that would soon resurface. And as I stared into the fire, warmth finally touching my skin, I couldn't shake the feeling that this reunion was only the beginning. Because sometimes the truth doesn't just set you free, sometimes it changes everything. And in the quiet after the storm, as the night stretched long and the world outside turned still, I realized something else, something that made my pulse race all over again. This story wasn't over, not even close. The rain was supposed to be cleansing. It was supposed to wash away the weight of the world. But that night, it felt like punishment. Cold, unforgiving, like the sky itself was mourning what I just lost. I remember gripping that plastic bag of clothes like it was the only thing keeping me from disappearing. My fingers were numb, my body shaking, and yet somehow I kept walking. Each step felt heavier than the last. Just minutes ago, I had a home, a family. A birthday cake waiting on the table, candles still melting into the frosting, and now I was nothing more than a shadow walking through the storm. My name is Adrian, and this is the night everything changed. Nothing I could say would ever make Conrad, my stepfather, see me as his son. He'd made that clear. So I turned, walked to the door, and didn't look back. Behind me, I heard my mother's soft sob, but she didn't rise. She didn't call out. She just sat there, tears sliding down her cheeks, her silence louder than his cruelty. The door creaked open, and the sound of rain filled the silence like a scream. The storm swallowed me whole. The cold hit instantly, sharp needles of rain soaking through my clothes, plastering my shirt to my skin. My sneakers splashed through puddles that reflected the faint glow of streetlights. Every drop of rain stung, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. Each step away from that house felt like walking off the edge of the world. My tears mixed with the storm, indistinguishable, and for once, I didn't try to hide them. The laughter from my birthday, those happy voices from just an hour ago, faded behind me until all I could hear was the rhythmic pounding of the rain and the relentless thundering of my heart. My 18th birthday had turned into exile. The boy who blew out the candles with hope in his heart was gone. What was left of him trudged down an empty street, clutching a bag of clothes, wondering where he'd sleep, what he'd eat, and whether anyone would even notice he was gone. Would my mother come after me? Or would she stay, pretending nothing happened? The betrayal cut deeper than any words Conrad could have thrown at me. I thought about Uncle Darius. He was supposed to be there that night. My mom's older brother, the only man who ever made me feel seen. The one who told me to keep going when life felt impossible. If he had been there, maybe Conrad wouldn't have dared. But he wasn't. Conrad chose his moment perfectly. He waited until I was surrounded by witnesses, but powerless, until I had no one left to protect me. I walked farther into the night, my clothes clinging to my body, the storm hammering down like it wanted to crush me into the pavement. Streetlights blurred in the downpour, turning into streaks of gold that smeared across my vision. My chest ached with every breath, but I couldn't stop, because stopping meant collapsing. The words replayed over and over in my mind, louder than the thunder. "You're not my real son. You're out of this house." Each time I heard them, they dug deeper. He had stripped me of belonging, ripped me away from the only place I'd known for 8 years, and he did it without hesitation, without remorse. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run back and demand answers, but the storm drowned everything. All I could do was keep walking, each step taking me farther from the boy who once believed family meant love. And then, in the endless rain, I heard it. A sound that didn't belong to the storm, the low hum of an engine. Headlights sliced through the darkness, cutting through the sheets of rain. A black car slowed to a stop beside me, tires hissing against the wet road. I froze. My pulse spiked. The car rolled forward, matching my pace. Its windows were tinted, sleek, reflecting flashes of lightning. I gripped the bag tighter, my heart thundering. Then the window slid down, smooth, deliberate. A man leaned out. His face was half hidden by shadow, his jawline sharp, his voice calm, too calm for the chaos around us. Are you Adrian?" I stopped. My throat tightened. The way he said my name, it wasn't a question, it was a confirmation. "Yeah," I managed, barely audible over the rain. He nodded once, as if I'd just proven something he already knew. And then he said the words that froze me in place. "Your real father sent me." At first I thought I'd misheard him. The thunder rolled overhead, the rain pelting the car's roof, but his voice was steady. "Your real father sent me." My heart clenched. Those words, "real father," hit harder than the cold. For years I'd wondered about him, the man my mother refused to talk about. The ghost I built out of half-whispered stories and unanswered questions. Now, someone was claiming to know him. I took a step back, clutching the bag like a shield. "What are you talking about? Who are you?" The man didn't flinch. His voice stayed calm, steady. "My name is Callan. Your father asked me to find you. He wanted to make sure you're safe." Safe. The word felt foreign. Safe from what? I asked, my voice trembling. He didn't answer right away. His gaze flicked toward the house I'd left behind, the one barely visible through the downpour. Then he gestured toward the car's back seat. "Get in. I'll explain everything. You don't have to stay out here." Every instinct in me screamed to run, to not trust him. Because strangers who show up in storms claiming to know your past, those are the ones you don't follow. But something in his tone, something quiet and assured, made me pause. "My father," I said slowly, my heart pounding. "If this is real, if he sent you, then tell me his name." Callan met my eyes without hesitation. Kieran Marlowe. He's been waiting a long time to see you." The world tilted. Kieran. I'd heard that name once, years ago. I was maybe 10. My mother whispered it one night when she thought I was asleep. There was softness in her voice, almost longing. When I asked her about it the next morning, she shut down completely, eyes distant, lips tight. Now, hearing it again from a stranger in a storm made my chest ache. "Why now?" I demanded, my voice cracking. "If he wanted me, where has he been all these years?" Callan's jaw tightened slightly, but his voice didn't waver. "It's not what you think. He didn't leave you, Adrian. He was forced out. Conrad made sure of it. The name, Conrad, hit like a slap. He what? Callan leaned closer, his eyes steady. Your stepfather didn't just marry your mother. He made sure your father was erased from your life. Every letter, every visit, every attempt to reach you, Conrad blocked them all. The rain pounded harder. You're lying, I said. That's not possible. But even as I said it, part of me knew it was true. Conrad had always hated talking about my father. He would shut down any mention of him, his eyes cold, his voice sharp. He wanted control, Callan continued. And your father, he never stopped searching. The moment you turned 18, the moment Conrad no longer had legal power over you, Kieran sent me to find you. The storm blurred everything around me. I could barely see, but I could feel the truth settling in my bones. He never stopped searching. My throat closed up. I looked back toward the house, a faint glow of light still visible through the rain. My mom was in there, probably crying, maybe regretting, but she hadn't stopped me. That silence had spoken louder than any goodbye. And now in front of me was a man offering something I dreamed about my whole life. Answers, a chance to belong. I took a deep breath, rain running down my face. My hand reached for the door handle. Wait, I said softly. If what you're saying is true, then where is he now? Callan's eyes flicked to the passenger seat. He reached forward and lifted a small envelope, sealed and slightly damp from the humidity. Here, he said quietly. He wanted you to have this. I hesitated, then took it. My hands trembled as I opened the envelope. Inside, a folded letter and a worn photograph. I unfolded the photo first. A younger man, dark hair, smiling down at a baby wrapped in a blanket. The baby was me. My breath hitched. My throat closed. I pressed the photo to my chest, afraid it might disappear if I looked away. Then I unfolded the letter. The handwriting was strong, deliberate. Adrian, my son, I have waited 18 years for this moment. I wanted to be there for your birthdays, your scraped knees, your laughter, but I was forced away. Not a day has passed where I didn't fight to find you. Now you are a man and nothing can stop me from telling you the truth. You were never unwanted. You were never forgotten. You are my son. And I love you. My vision blurred. My hands shook. For years, I'd convinced myself I didn't need to know him, that I was fine not having a father. But deep down, I'd always wanted one. And now, in the middle of a storm, I was holding proof that he'd wanted me too. The letter slipped from my fingers and landed in my lap. The sound of rain softened against the car windows as if the world itself had gone quiet, waiting for me to breathe again. Callan glanced at me in the mirror, his expression calm but knowing. I told you, he said quietly, your father never gave up on you. I stared out the window, my reflection barely visible in the dark glass. My mind spun with questions. If everything Callan said was true, then who really was Conrad? What had he done to my mother, and why now? After all these years, had my real father finally reached out? The car began to move, tires slicing through the flooded street. The city lights faded behind us, swallowed by the storm. My old life, everything I'd known, disappeared into the rain. And for the first time in 18 years, I wasn't walking away from something. I was being driven toward the truth. Callan's voice cut through the hum of the engine. Hold on, Adrian, he said firmly. You're about to learn everything they never wanted you to know. The car accelerated. The rain kept falling. And somewhere in the distance, a new life waited. One built on secrets, lies, and a truth powerful enough to change everything I thought I knew about who I was. But deep inside, a single question echoed louder than the storm. What if the truth was even more dangerous than the lies?